Afternoon, folks. We're back once more here in Crow Park. We're going to do a little bit of a preview on St. Mullins and Kilmacud Crokes. We'll just give you a quick rundown on Naas and Ballyhale Shamrocks as well. So it's 321 to 116, the full-time score. Big turning points came midway through the second half, or thereabouts, when Joey Cudahy and Owen Cody got goals. I would say probably in the space of 60 seconds. Really turned the game. And from that point on, there was no real coming back for Naas. So Ballyhale Shamrocks progressed to the Leinster final. Joe Nolan has gone off on tour there. He's meeting all the big hitters here in Crow Park. But we have our own big hitter here, Stephen Bambrick. Stevie, just I suppose a comment on the first one there anyway. Is it fair to say that's the big turning point? And you were never kind of thinking Naas were going to get a bit of a comeback at all, and they did fight gamely, but I think the standard from their point of view dropped. Ballyhale probably upped it as well. Fair assessment?
Oh yeah. I mean, the two goals, literally, I'd say there wasn't 40 seconds between top to 60. From the very same spot, and just on the 14, there's Sam Mullins come out the field there now. They're going to be warm up on the right hand side here, but in fairness to Naas, they kept plugging away, but effectively put the game to bed and made 8 points of difference. Got the next two scores, but we're seeing then the ball to hand by Ballyhale. It was epitomised the last score of the game. Actually, Owen Reid got the second last score. Ball from TJ, 10 or 15 yard pass into the hand and over the bar. Got the biggest cheer today for Ballyhale. And that's the difference at this level, And the first and Naas, Sheridan centre forward was brilliant all through. And, they hit some great scores. Just, that's the level. They were at the stay of that level for 40-45 minutes. And, that's no mean achievement in itself.
Joe, you're after been off on tour there meeting all the big shots. I was saying, right, we were on big shot here now with Stevie. What celebrities did you meet?
I was citing autographs there, Kev. Sorry about that. I was talking to Shane Stapleton there from the Our Game podcast as well, and just chatting about the first match there as well. Just talked about, I suppose, that how Ballyhale kind of, once they ground down Naas, but their level of consistency in the hurling. We mentioned it at half time about picking gaps, and eventually, like we just said, like the two goals, just ruthlessness in the second half from Ballyhale, and look, when they put the foot down, Naas hurled up a storm for 45 minutes, but it's about keeping it over the 60 minutes, and Ballyhale deserving champions. I mean, and that's probably with a quiet game from TJ Reid, but you have your midfield and your half back line chipping in with 8 or 9 points in play. It gives you some platform to go ahead, and it'll be right. Look, we won't write off either team here, but Ballyhale look like in great shape again for a crack at the Leinster title. So so good game. So hopefully the second one will be as good.
Yeah, absolutely. As Stevie said there, both St. Mullins and Kilmacud Crokes are now out on the field doing their respective warm-ups, and fantastic to see St. Mullins here in Crow Park. Jack Cadden was talking to us during the week, and he said it's the stuff that you dream of as a kid, and sure, to be out there with your club mates is amazing. But you look at our own competition internally and how hard it is to win, and you look at how close you're on to a Ballinkillen were debating St. Mullins in the semi-final, and now look where they are all of a slap. I think our club game, while it wrecks my head at times with a few Mickey Mouse games in the round robin, in my opinion, the standards, we're able to hold it with anyone in Leinster. We've proven that for a long time.
Absolutely. I've said it about 4 times, I suppose, in this podcast. I always remember the words, like I said, that James Hickey said when I was interviewing him after the match up in Newbridge when they won their intermediate Leinster title. And he says, we wouldn't be here without the other clubs pushing us as much as what we do. And he was right. That same year, I think Ballinkillen and Leinster Rangers drew in the first round of the championship, and that's how close it was. It is great. Look, there is a good standard there. St. Mullins, obviously, get those games in Carlow, and when they come out, then it stands to them. It's an incredible occasion here for the people of St. Mullins. Like we know how committed they are to their hurling. We know how passionate they are. It is great for the likes of, for a club, a small club from, we'll call it one of our weaker counties, or traditionally counties that doesn't get the Crow Park as often as the others. But it is great, and look, I think St. Mullins come up here. People talk about Kilmacud and Dublin, but we were actually talking off air there about the experience that probably the 3 other teams here today would have had in Crow Park. Naas includes a huge amount of their hurlers having hurled up here with there, and with Naas club hurling. Of course, the St. Mullins Carlow contingent who've hurled up here before with Carlow on many great occasions when we've been up here. So look, they won't be overawed up here today. So it has the makings of a great game here, I think, Kevin.
Yeah, St. Mullins always turn up That's the thing. You know what I mean? I know this is a completely different task, but I have great faith that they're going to, really get stuck in here and give them a great chance of winning, obviously, as well. But there's times we used to come up here and think, I hope there's no hiding or anything. It used to be just an old school mentality. But now we look at, we spoke about the Ferns game and the shift in mentality on how we looked at that, because one time it would have been just the most amazing thing ever. I'm not saying it wasn't a big win, which it was, but it's not a surprise. Before, we were nearly surprised ourselves it was ever happening. Now we come to expect it. Yeah. And that's, again, an indication of where we're at.
Absolutely. But see, people forget, I suppose, too, and it's like when Mount Leinster Rangers or even Naas there today come through. Say take St. Mullins there, there's probably, I wouldn't even count, say 8 or 9 or 10 in their panel and playing team there. We've heard for Carlow at a very, very high standard over the last number of years. The same with, say, when Mount Leinster Rangers are coming through in their run as well, or whoever is county champions in Carlow. They carry a great deal of experience at county level, and you're coming up against teams, maybe we call them from the likes of Wexford, where maybe Ferns are carrying 1 or 2 county players. We're carrying a lot of players who have a lot of hurling done at a very, very high level, all our club teams, and I think that really stands to them in the club championship. I think you're dead right, Kevin. I mean, going into the game against Ferns last 2 weeks ago, we weren't going there. It'll be, give them a run and see how we get on, sort of thing. And I say I mean Carlow people, because we always get behind our county champions no matter who they are. And they were coming up with a way of expectation, and I think there's an expectation here today as well that this is a real chance to get back to a Leinster hurling club final. And it wouldn't come as any shock to me or to anyone who knows the St. Mullins outfit if they do push on here today and get that win that they deserve and face Ballyhale in the final.
Stevie, if you look at the contrast here of where both teams are at, and the teams that are being announced here now, and we'll give them to you in a sec as well, but like resources, I don't know what the exact number in terms of members is with Kilmacud Crokes, but you're hearing something like 4,000 or something, and like, I don't know, there's definitely not 4,000 people in St. Mullins, anyway, I can tell you that. But you look at it from the point of view of, Beacon Hospital's on the front of Kilmacud's jersey. Is it Ryan Hallage on the St. Mullins one, or Blanchfield's are good to as well, and all that. Like, it's crazy when you look at it from that point of view, resource wise, and yet we're here. It's the Leinster semi-final, and it really is a 50-50 game. Like,
yeah, it starts at 0-0. Like, Kilmacud, it's the first year they've won 2 in a row. Like, and you would say club championship, you have to be a season campaigner. Like Naas, even in the first game there, their season campaign is maybe intermediate level. They've won that. They're over there. They've got Kildare back in the senior hurling now, and just looking out here, the St. Mullins boys. Like, Gary Bennett's back there. He's travelling. He's down to start number 4. You're looking at a team where it's pulled from 2 or 3 small villages in the one area that we know as many of the St. Mullins boys as we know of one of our own teams. Carlow's that small a county. Compared to Kilmacud, we played the 7-a-side up there 30 odd years ago, and that was a serious competition then. There's no comparison, but at this stage, Kilmacud are a team where they have to make the next jump, and the next jump is to get to the Leinster Club Hurling final and possibly win it. So, with the way of numbers comes expectations as well. I'm saying that just because St. Mullins is a small team and they're far into Carlow, the expectations are there as well that they want to win, and all of Carlow wants them to win today as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's go down through the teams there, Stevie. So I'm scared to throw it down there. Kevin Keoghan go for St. Mullins, John Dorn, Paul Doyle, Gary Bennett, Paddy O'Shea, Michael Walsh, and Gerard Cody. Jack Kavanagh and Paddy Keogh. You're pointing at Gary Bennett. I've been talking about here. You're not listening to us yet. Over yet.
Down England.
Yeah, down England again. Jack Kavanagh and Paddy in the middle of the field. Philip Connors, James Doyle, Conor Keogh, Jason O'Neill, Mouse Kavanagh, Paddy Boland. Might get you to flip that there, Stevie, if you don't mind. Our hands are full here. And that's just with Joe. Kilmacud, Eddie Gibbons in the goal. Brian Sheehy, Dara Butler, Bill O'Carroll, Keane McGowan, Mark Rogan, Keane O'Cosdick, Brian Hayes and Davy Crowe in the middle of the field. Caelan Conway, Oisin O'Rourke, Fergal Whiteley, and Dara Purcell, Ronan Hayes, and Brendan Scanlon. Change.
Brian Sheehy, if they win today, he's the only dual player, I think, in the 2 Kilmacud Crokes panel, so he'll have a headache, a nice headache in 2 weeks' time if it happens. So hopefully St. Mullins will take that problem with Kilmacud's hands.
That's the type of headache I'd rather have today as opposed to the one I do have. So you were pointing out Gary there. It's great to see him back in the fold. Great character, great hurler. loves the day like this.
Geez, no better man. Yeah, top man. I know he was away travelling there this year, but he'd be in touch. He was back for a couple of times, and I was chatting to him on the line one of the days. I think it was the Ballinkillen game, first game this year, and having a chat with him afterwards as well. And sure, look, top man. He's great to see him. What a big plus he is back into that same setup as well on the day. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting tactical battle, I think, here today, Kevin. From a hurling point of view, I do think. I think will Kilmacud Crokes try to, will they try to open up that inside line of St. Mullins in terms of getting that ball into their inside line. I thought Ferns the last day at the start of the match, we're trying to pull out the St. Mullins wing backs to try and make space in behind for that cross field diagonal ball, and I think St. Mullins got their head around that sort of a tactic after a while, but it was paying dividend in there. So it'll be an interesting battle of tactics here today. It'll be interesting to see, obviously, where Jack is positioned in terms of his influence on the game the last day, and how will Kilmacud work around that. Of course, Kilmacud themselves, they have a wealth of experience there coming through. Obviously, Oisin O'Rourke has been, probably their key man, and is their key man in terms of scores from play and from frees as well. Very accurate, he's a free taker as well. A lot of experience with Dublin hurlers. But I suppose also he's general playmaking as well. From looking at him, in the games this year and last year that have been on telly, his playmaking ability there is key. He's sort of a player who'll kind of play between the lines, and he will need special attention because. He's like we saw in the last game there with Adrian Mullins, when he gets into that space, he'll either score or he'll create. So St. Mullins will be very wary of him. Of course, he's on the edge of the square. He's another big man. He is, of course, a wealth of experience there in terms of Dublin experience as well. Ronan Hayes has been quite enough from a scoring point of view, the last couple of games, even this championship, but he's such a presence in there. But I think he's sort of hurler that will suit Paul Dial in one way. Paul is, in terms of a full-back, he's probably an ideal. He's strong, he's quick as well. Ronan Hayes is a quick, strong full forward as well. So that'll be an interesting battle in there on the edge of the square as well, Kevin. So yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good one. From a St. Mullins point of view, look, we talked about them so often during the year in our club podcast and also in the Leinster podcast as well. You're looking for, you have plenty of big name players, you have plenty of big game experience there. I think, a couple of maybe players coming in that might, maybe looking to up their game from the last day, but maybe weren't happy with their game. You have Jason O'Neill, who was, I suppose, unbelievable in the county final. Came off early the last day, and he'll be looking to put right maybe that performance as well. So yeah, Kevin, there's all the makings of a cracking game here. I suppose we're about 8 or 9 minutes away here from throw-in, so the lads are probably going through their last warm throughs here, I suppose Stevie, what do you think? What do you think is going through these men's head here the last couple of minutes? What do you think they're thinking about?
I'd say they're waiting to get going because the last 5 or 10 minutes before this, they showed in the field, they're not stuck in the dressing room. That's the worst place to be. You're out, you're getting the field for we're walking the pitch here at half time the first game, so trying to find out a square place here would win, and that whether wind affects the games is fine. It looks like it's going to stay fine. The floodlights are on, they'll probably be needed to get for the second half of the game possibly. But you're out here, and it's about Jason O'Neill. Jason, it's quite the last day, great county final. Gary Bennett's coming in. Paddy Coe's wearing number 9. Is that going to affect who's going to? Gary Bennett obviously going to be in the cornerback position, I'd say.
I was just going to ask you, Stevie, take up on it. John Dial is unlucky to miss out here.
Yeah, and look, I actually, we were doing the game the last day. I knew Gary was on the bench. I didn't actually. I noticed after he wasn't used, and you'd be thinking that question was answered today. And I looked out. I actually hadn't looked at the programme to see him wear number 4. I said, right, he's obviously starting today. So it probably gives him another option off the bench up front. The last day, Seamus Murphy and Oisin Reid came in and done jobs. The way he got their hands on a couple of balls that had to be got off from hookouts in the second half. And Oisin Ball and then Carl Conley got taken off the county final. They didn't appear the last day, so maybe they'll appear today. So it's probably going to take more than 15. You'll expect to win this game. Kilmacud went through Ronan Hayes, Oisin O'Rourke. We don't know much more about other than their county players, Fergal Whiteley as well, up front. So, it'll be interesting to see. It'll take 10 or 15 minutes, I'd say, to give a feel for the two teams. And we're saying Kilmacud Crokes probably less of their players, other of the 4 teams that played here today, would have played here than any of the other 3 teams, which is unusual for a Dublin team. So, it'll be interesting to see what way it pans out.
Yep. All right, lads. I'm going to knock it off now, shortly, but just in a word.
I'm confident St. Mullins, Kevin. I think their temperament. I think big name players, big game players. I think this is their platform to shine. These boys will come into it. There'll be no nerve. I don't think there'll be too much nerves. I don't think there'll be any shackles here. These boys have got to hurl. I think we've as good a hurlers here. Again, I say we, because they're out representing Carlow, we've as good a hurlers here as any of the 4 teams and any teams that are left in this club championship. And I think the boys will go out and express themselves. And I think the big pitch will suit some of those St. Mullins forwards when they open up their legs as well. I think it'll suit them. I think
St. Mullins by a couple of points.
Yeah, I'd take half a point, 1 point. Look, you're hoping. You look at the likes of James Doyle and most, we're sick of talking about these boys in a good way. I mean, you're hoping these boys get to show their true game for their home club, and that's one thing playing for your county or playing Fitzgibbon or whatever. They're playing with lads now. There'll be the lads that went to school with. There'll be the lads that'll leave it down in the graveyard in 50 or 60 years' time as well. And as then today, you'll be hoping they get to show their true exploits, and a point will do. Hopefully, we'll be on the right side of it.
Good stuff. Right, we'll leave it at that. We'll chat these after the game, folks. It's live on KCLR Radio, and it's on TG Car as well, live on the telly. Shout out to Talbot Fitness. Thanks again, lads, and give us a follow at the Left Wing Back on Twitter, Facebook, and on Instagram. Chat to you in a bit.